Kids in Danger Best Friend Award, and we figure he deserves a medal, and that's what he's getting. It says, it's engraved, presented to Mitch Lipka for the outstanding contribution to for his outstanding contribution to children's product safety, May 19th, 2011. I introduce you, Mitch Lipka.
I had no idea it was so interesting. I'm really honored to be named this year's Best Friend by Kids in Danger. Being a consumer reporter is the most interesting and rewarding job in the news business. In the dozen or so years that I spent covering government and police and everything else as a reporter all over this country, I realized just how disconnected I was from the readers once I started to write the consumer stories. Why? Because consumer stories are by their very nature for everyone, because everyone is a consumer. Instead of the silence that often greeted previous stories, tales about deceptive marketing, scams, and product safety got people talking. This was information that people valued, and that made it all the much more exciting to me. I found my place. I got my start writing about consumer issues about 13 years ago at the Sun Sentinel in Fort Lauderdale, where I followed in the footsteps of Stephanie Zimmerman of the Sun-Times, who's here with us today, and is, like me, one of the very few who focus our efforts on consumer issues. One of my duties back then was chronicling the highlights of a week's worth of recalls. And after a few months of that, I noticed a pattern. It was a pattern that made little sense at the time, but after learning more about our nation's product recall system, it started to make a lot of sense. I asked the Consumer Product Safety Commission for a database with the information included in all recalls. How many incidents were reported? How many injuries? I was told there was no such database. So I built my own from hundreds of recall announcements and spent a year investigating the system. The nation's product recall system, I concluded, was itself defective. The pattern that I had noticed was the disparity of when companies would announce recalls. Some companies would issue a recall without anyone having been injured, or only one or two reports of problems from consumers. But others would wait, sometimes for months, even years, to announce a recall after dozens of children were hurt and hundreds of problems had been reported. Why? Because the heart of the recall process is corporate conscience. The responsible company is supposed to issue a recall when there's been an injury or there is a chance that somebody could seriously be hurt. And while most companies appear to follow that guideline, some still do not. And to make things worse, the terms by which a recall is done, whether it might involve returning a product or offering consumers a repair, are negotiated, which can also drag on. And some companies are really, really good at dragging these situations out. So what happens in the interim? More people get hurt because they don't know about the problems. It should be clear to all of us in this room that the stakes are high. Kids in Danger has certainly been doing its part to spread that message. From the day that I first talked with Linda for that series, through my most recent conversation with Nancy, Kids in Danger has given me a most extraordinary window into the world of child product safety. Nancy has achieved what was once unthinkable. She has a seat at the table where industry draws up the standards by which the products must be made. And they have worked to change the law of the land. Their unique insights have helped me to do my job better and smarter, and that has helped advance our united cause of educating and informing people about the critical issue of child safety. We're all working to ensure America's children sleep, crawl, toddle, walk, run, and play with the safest children's products in the world. And we tell all the parents and caregivers who will listen about what they can do themselves to keep kids out of danger. While there are still companies that do not play by the rules or push those rules to the limits, the world of product safety has improved a lot in the past dozen years. A lot more consumers are aware of recalls and why they're important. And thanks to that online database that was launched in March, consumers can now read descriptions of problems with products written by any consumer who enters that information. And after millions of cribs were recalled because of defects or faulty designs, the industry must now build safer, more durable cribs than they ever had before. That's helping to prevent untold numbers of injuries and deaths. Recalls of products that are tainted with lead have dropped precipitously, and CPSC Chairman Inez Tannenbaum told me just last week that she believes the Chinese government at long last is taking seriously its role in policing products produced there to be exported to the United States. The CPSC is still a small agency, but it has grown quite a bit in the past couple of years. And my ability to reach people has grown exponentially from when I wrote that series that was then only seen by a regional audience in South Florida. Now there are no such geographic limits. And while so much has been achieved, work still remains. People are still ignoring recalls, companies still fight safety rules, and some members of Congress are advancing their plan to undo some of the progress that has been made, potentially making it more difficult to publish product information in that new database, raising the limit on the amount of lead allowed in kids' products, and exempting certain products from the requirement that an outside laboratory verify that they were made in compliance with the law. And you still can't get that data that I asked for all those years ago. I am committed to continuing to educate readers about product safety, whether through my writing for Parents.com, my column in the Boston Globe or Reuters, or on my own website, theconsumerchronicle.com. I would like to thank you for coming here tonight and supporting Kids in Danger. Thank you.